Mr. James Scarlett, we go again.
Hello, mate. The next time you say that to me, literally next Wednesday, you're going to be walking out of an airport terminal in Bristol.
Oh man, it's
Literally.
close. It's fucking close, mate. Can you believe it?
Yeah. I'm excited.
And you know what? I'm probably. I feel like it's going to come and hit me at some point in nerves. I don't know why. Cause I'm quite nervous. I'd say I've got normal nerves. I'm not like hugely anxious, but I've got normal nerves. I'm not a public speaker. I have never really been on stage before, not in a capacity other than the times at Trees and Art Tangents. And when I'm involved with stuff like that, and I get quite nervous. But for some reason, when I don't know if it's just this whole, I'm overjoyed about being able to do it. That I don't know. At 43, there's probably an appreciation that you were never going to be famous, Gavin, even if that's what I wanted or not, and you were never going to be a performer or have a talent. You were going to be a football player or fucking play the guitar. So here you are getting to go out and do something completely unexpected. So just go and enjoy it. Just fucking enjoy it. So I think I'm something subconsciously is telling me, don't be nervous. Just go and fucking enjoy it.
I fucking love that. The only danger of that is that the nerves decide to say hello about 3 minutes before you go on stage. It's like you're not prepared for nerves at all because they're not there. And then it's like, hello.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely before walking it, we never had the chance at that tangent. It was too early, and we just got up out of bed. But definitely felt the nerves before going out at Trees. I was definitely like, "What are we doing here?" And I went into sort of autopilot mode. I think at Trees. So, aye, next week, mate. Next week we'll get to
Yeah.
the tour. We'll talk about the tour and how things are going
Okay.
with that. But I'm glad you showed up after that Stinky Pete episode, mate. Because firstly, that was a lot, and secondly, as feared, some people feel we've reached the heights, the dizzying heights. That the greatest moment we'll ever have was having Stinky Pete as a guest, and this is all just downhill for here.
It's probably the most feedback I've had from friends, like people just saying, love the episode. My cousin, she texted me and a bunch of the trees organisers were bantering about it on our WhatsApp group and everyone wanted to hear what he had to say, um, which I'm pleased about because when we got to the end of that episode, I mean, if anyone watches it back, me and you were totally shell-shocked right at the end. And I feel like at the end it was just like we weren't really sure if we'd finished or not. It was just like
we
run
we've
away.
never edited any of these 62 now 63 episodes other than for technical issues, glitches. So when you say something daft and I say something stupid or we slip up or we put our foot in it, we just stand by it and basically go, well, I suppose that's the whole point of the podcast and being in on a conversation rather than a polished and edited conversation. You were very keen in having that episode edited, and you were so keen in getting that episode edited that I started second guessing should that last story be included, and then you ultimately went to it like, Gav, I've followed your lead so far. And we've not been cancelled, so go with it. And not saying that we won't. I want this to be a clip that comes out in a year's time when we are cancelled, but so far so good. People took it, and in the end of the day, it was the truth, wasn't it? These stories were what Stinky Pete's experience was of doing that job. So it was it was crazy. I'm glad we put it out because one thing that I'd say to you when you were looking at getting that last story edited is a lot of listeners would have been like, we just we're built up to like this final story for a whole podcast just to go bleep would have been a wee bit of an anticlimax.
Yeah, I was just saying to you, I keep thinking about like, oh my God, my mum's going to be listening to that episode, and like, it's just like there's just people that you're like, I don't know. But anyway, you convinced me that if we got cancelled, you were going to take the fall for me. You can't get
I was
cancelled
going
in metal,
that
can you? You've got to do something really bad. And so you're in metal, so you got to do something seriously bad to get cancelled, as old Marilyn Manson has proved. There's nothing you can't weather in metal, but in sort of other genres, softer rock genres like pop punk, you got to be careful that you're behaving in the appropriate way, which is good. But I was a bit scared by a couple of those stories. But it turns out everyone seems to have enjoyed it. So fucking
and you
great.
get
Happy
some
days.
real sick and twisted bastards who commented they weren't as bad as I expected. I'm not quite sure how bad you want that to be if that's not bad enough for you. So it was I wasn't playing any games with that. None of that was for effect. As I admitted, I am a porcelain prude, and I was struggling a wee bit with some of those stories. I came on. I told my wife. I said, "Oh, that Stinky Pete episode is getting some traction. People are really enjoying it." She goes, "Oh, I need to listen to it." My wife Kelly loves a good fucking shite story as well. So clearly, like the rest of the world now. And I was like, I really struggled with it, Kelly. She goes, oh, of course you did. Remember what happened to the caravan? It's like flashback memories. So, a few years back, we had a touring caravan with the kids when they were younger, and I was up there with my friends at some campsite in Scotland, and the toilet had been getting used all weekend, and I was the one who was responsible for taking the cassette out the side of the old school sort of travelling thing, we taking it to the wherever the grey water or the dirty water point was, and getting rid of it. And me being me, having a good drink over the weekend. I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. So come the Sunday, it's Kelly's like, right, okay, it's overflowing now, Gavin, time to go. I went in, pulls the cassette's jammed, so I'm really giving it a tug, right? I fucking tug this thing. It shoots out 5 people's piss at least right up my arm. I swear to God, Kelly's watching. I went, I made this banshee noise and I looked at my arm. I was like, I swear to God, she said, Gavin, you just froze, looked at it like, is this really just happened to me? This piss right up my arm. And I was like, if I had the power in my right arm to rip my left arm off and just throw it away with the cassette, I would have, because I swear to God, I think I scrubbed through to the bone after that. And that was just the urine of my family shooting up my arm. So I can only imagine how bad it would be to go into one of the portaloos. And it did bring back that horror when she mentioned it to me. Like, I completely submerged that entire experience.
Well, I wish you told me some of this because being, as we've talked about before, it's quite weird interviewing someone else when you're in three different locations because there's no cues that me and you can give each other to be like, what we're going to do next, or how's this going, or what should we change? You're just like winging it, but you can't really talk to the other person. And as that interview went on with Pete, I was thinking, Gav's really not enjoying this. And like I was a bit unsure as I didn't realize it was because you were a bit squirmish with shit. Because I'm actually fine with all the shit stories. It was like the blowjob and masturbation stories that were I'm not a prude about, but I thought some other people might not like. But it turns out you didn't like talking about the biggest turd.
Aye. It was not even that. I'm about like, I mean, definitely the worst story for me, far and away. Like, it was no comparison. Was the guy using his
Oh
finger with a
yeah.
glove to wipe the shit off the eye? Like, because you know what, the rest of them, even the guy getting the shit blasted into his beard and that, like those horrific acts of gods. I mean, those accidents, like that's just going to happen. Sometimes you're going to slip in a bit of shit in the street, like to voluntarily stick your hand into a portaloo into somebody's shit, pull out the phone, and then use your finger that you've chosen not to put a glove on and wipe it. That was easily the worst for me. I mean, I fucking blowjobs and women in toilets by themselves. I'm about like, okay, fair enough. Doesn't sound great, but that was. Oh, I mean, I'm still squirming a wee bit thinking about that. Well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? So, aye, that's my. But just the reaction to it, how much people enjoyed it, and as I say, more than one person. Definitely the best episode he's ever done. Well, I feel like, how the fuck do you follow that up then? Because
Would,
that's a one and
well,
done for me.
I think the way to follow it up is, and there's been some clamoring on the internet for Gav to do a day's work experience with Pete. So I actually asked Pete, would could you do a day's work experience with him? And his reply was, I would definitely pay him. So you're in. So look, mate, let's hope you don't get a ticket for that Black Sabbath gig because you are very close to 2,000 trees if that happens. And then all sorts of things start to line up. And it feels
Very,
like what great content that could be.
very close to 2,000 subscribers is the answer to that question. I can be bought, but you think just because I'm passing through the beautiful farm that I'm going to go and shoot a load or blow a load or whatever the fuck it is Stinky Pete does. No, I'm good. So, moving on swiftly. How was your week, mate?
Yeah, I mean, very busy. I mean, we're quite full on with the live tour, aren't we, at the moment? It's there's been some flights and trains and hotels, some beer and some cider purchased, and yeah, well, I say purchased. We should just say thank you to Arbor and Weston's for sending us a load of free cider and beer, which is very nice for the tour. Um, and we're planning the show, aren't we? And yeah, we're doing a couple of uni talks along the way as well. So we're planning those. It's been really full on. I'm not sure if I'm still a festival organizer, if I'm honest, but
That, I mean,
um,
that has, I mean, before we get into the other bits of your weekly offerings, I don't really have much over and above the tour. I mean, I the same thing, making sure hotels are booked, trains are booked. You've booked a van. We last night I spent 3 or 4 hours with Bri getting the bingo cards sorted. So you think of the idea of the bingo card, like, oh, that's clever. Get something on all the things we say. Give everybody a bingo card when they buy an item of merch and a pen, and you can play along and win a hot sauce, a colour ball, a wee bit extra interaction, a bit more fun with the pod. And then but all the bingo cards can't be the same, obviously, because then everyone would get the line or the house at the same time. So like now we have to make at least 10 variations of the same bingo card. So me and Briar's moving about sort of like, so I, amazing, Stinky Pete, fucking download Cursor Johannes through these 10 different cards, making sure we've got different words and different orders, which is not something that I envisaged as doing for that. The merchandise is now out there, other than the two censored shots, the two shots that were released the design for, and you'll see in Bristol. And we have got this off the record segment that we've just come up with in the last week, which will basically be a board with topics on it that will have a section where you will ask you the crowd, what do you want to hear about? And you can tell us if it's Migla or fucking Bloodstock or James's worst day ever at a festival. So aye, it's been a lot this week. It feels like it's there now. So let's get this stuff sorted.
yeah, I mean, it really is happening. You're arriving in less than 7 days now into Bristol. I think it's worth just telling people. So that off the record board where they'll get to choose some sort of 8 to 10 stories that they've never heard. But there is a final option on there because we're trying to make these shows are going to be like you hearing about new stuff that we haven't talked about in the previous 61 episodes, and we got some absolute gold dust to talk about. But there is also an option for people, I think, to choose if they wanted an old story and they wanted to hear it again, that is an option. So if people have got any ideas there, we're
Yeah, I mean, again, it's because
happy to go with that.
sometimes you hear that, it's like, oh, he's talked about that, but it was just all too brief. I want to go back to that moment in time and expand on it. So not even so much just retelling a story, but maybe expanding on a story that we've touched on in the previous year. The podcast, I've read a couple of people who seem to be under the impression that these live ones are going to be recorded and then released. That is not the plan at all to do that. So not only are we going to try and make all 7 shows as unique as possible, there is no plan to release them as the way that we did with Live and Art Tangent Live at Trees. They are going to be a sort of one and done. There may well be, I've got a sort of idea bubbling in my head about getting some sort of best of we episode together. Maybe with that, you put it and you get to the subscribers. We've always been keen not to put anything behind a paywall, but I think it's very fair to put something behind a paywall that people paid to go and see. It's not
Yeah.
just a standard episode. And my plan for the next 2 weeks was definitely be we're on tour and get half an hour pod of, I don't know, top 5 Deftones albums or top 3 festivals. James is very keen just to plough on and keep the full schedule going each Thursday. So at the minute we seem to be just planning to plough on, and you'll have your normal episode next Thursday, and then the Thursday after that will probably be us recording between the 2 sets of weekends. So folk who are looking for that, that's probably the ideal there. Is that how you see things,
Yep.
James?
Yeah. There'll be something dropping in people's feeds on each Thursday, won't there? We don't exactly know what it'll be. We can keep it going, I reckon. But yeah,
Well, that's
100%. I'm going to say stuff on these live shows that I will not want released on a recording. So they definitely won't go out in full, these episodes. There's going to be some things in there that we don't want to be consumed by the internet.
so. Yes, the live tour, Manchester, Birmingham, Bristol, sold out. Glasgow has, I don't know, 25, 30 tickets left. To be amazing to get that sold out. The rest of them, a wee bit more, but there's nothing to say we can't get them all across the line. Come along, have a laugh with us, have a drink afterwards. There are quite early starts, quite early finishes, and then the chat opportunity to sit and have a drink and a laugh, get some merch, play a game of bingo, hear some stories we've not told, stories we don't really want committed to YouTube. Aye, it should be a good. And then after that, I mean, there's no, as James and I sit here right now, there is genuinely no. This is definitely what we're going to do come late this year or into next year. But we would love to go back out. We would love this. We'd love to smash this one, see everyone enjoy it, and then be like, right, okay, we're going to learn what works on this tour, and we're going to learn what doesn't. how things go, and then we'll just again opportunity to then move up a level, and then see where we can go for there.
Yeah, yeah. No, we don't know where there isn't like often bands tour and they've got a plan for the next tour or it's booked and there's nothing booked, nothing held, and we're just like gonna see how this goes, aren't we? And then we'll
Follow
go
the
from there.
listener's lead. So what else
Yeah.
has been happening with your life?
So I just wanted to quickly talk a bit about Brian James, who sadly died this week. So Brian was he was the original guitarist in the Damned. He had quite a big career elsewhere, but he's best known for being the guitarist and songwriter in the Damned. Now, when you're talking about like the classic punk bands from the UK, really, after the Sex Pistols and the Clash, it is the Damned. Um, so they're like they're Slayer to Metallica. They are one of the most important punk bands ever. And what makes them even more important is that they released the first ever punk single. So the reason I'm telling you this is because Brian was a family friend. So he went to school with my uncle, and so my mum and my uncle knew him. My uncle's very good friends with him. Um, and in 1993, I went to Brian's parents' funeral. So they weren't my auntie and uncle, but I don't know if you do this in Scotland, but you call people auntie and uncle sometimes, and they're not. So Brian's mum and dad, we used to call like Auntie Joan. It was his mum, and so I remember this in 1993. So I'm like 14, 15, and we went to their funeral. And it was at the time that the Spaghetti Incident by Guns N' Roses, their covers album had come out. And there was a song by The Damned on there that had been written by Brian. And Brian James was in Kerrang loads. So I'm like going to his house and he's been in Kerrang loads. And I'm like, my mum said to him, "Oh, Brian, this is my son James. He's a big Guns N' Roses fan." And he's like, "All right, James, how you doing? I know Slash." And he's telling me all about Slash, and I'm just like, "Fuck me, this is amazing." So he's telling me all these stories, and I was telling him I was playing bass guitar, and he was like, "Give me your address." Um, and I think I've got a copy of. What I should have said is that the first ever punk song released was New Rose by The Damned. It was written by Brian. He said to me, "I think I've got my copy of the 7-inch vinyl, the original first ever punk singles in my attic. I don't use it anymore. I don't need it. I'll send it to you." So a few weeks later, this 7-inch arrives at my door with a letter from Brian. And and we were like, he had no reason to be nice to me other than he was a lovely guy. And me and him became like pen pals. And like I don't know how old he was then, but he must have been in his 40s probably. And I'm like 14. And I've still got all the letters of him like telling me how to get a good sound out of your bass guitar and all this stuff. And I've still got the fucking vinyl as well. It was really cool. It's like just an amazing thing for him to do. What a nice guy. He then played as part of this band he had called the Brian James Gang at 2000 Trees in 2007. Um, and there is actually there's a story about that which I might say for the London date on the tour of when Brian was at 2000 Trees. But I just wanted to say like I guess what a fucking legend. And he's passed this week. It felt like an appropriate time to tell that story about that he had sort of a little impact on my musical upbringing, which was nice.
Absolutely, that is a fucking class act. And when by the time he got to Trees in 2007, still knew exactly who you were. So what would that have been 2.5 decades later?
Absolutely. So the reason we could book him is because my uncle put me in contact with him again at that point. And um, yeah, we just did he did a mates rates deal and he came and played. And we were chatting. My uncle came back. It was really nice. So my mum's brother, my uncle came backstage and was like chatting to his old schoolmate behind the main stage at 2000 Trees. So
And
it was,
this was this year too. Is this year when you managed the mojo barrier and some
oh
sound?
mate, this is the 2007. We don't have a fucking clue what we're doing thing. So yeah. Um, but
There's probably something he found quite novel about that as well. There's I mean, the whole punk ethic, just getting out there and making something happen.
yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'll just tell you, I was going to maybe wait till London, but so basically, what happened on that day is I got my first experience of like sound volume issues. So when the Brian James Gang were on stage, um, our sound guy came up to me with a reading, and he's like, "You're breaking your license." And bearing in mind, I've got no experience, and it's year one, so I'm like, "Fuck, we're going to lose our license." And I'm like, "Well, turn them down then." He's like, "I can't turn them down because for anyone who's not very technical, the band plays through the amps, but the amps are then amplified by the PA system. So what the audience is hearing is the PA system, not really the amps. Unless you're Brian James, and you've just got your amp fucking turned up to 11, and the PA is the PA was completely off on his channel, but he was just blasting the field out with this massive fuck off Marshall cap. So you can't turn him down unless you go on stage and turn him down. So I'm like, I'm just green and shitting myself. And I'm like, it's fucking Brian James from the Damned. I'm not going up there. I'm not turning him down. So like a coward, I went over to the bassist and I was like, mate, it's too loud. Can you ask Brian to turn down, please? And I watched him walk over to Brian, whisper in his ear. And Brian just looked at him and just started the next song. He's like, he's a punk. You don't fucking tell him to turn down. He didn't even say anything. He just looked at him and just carried on. So
Well, at least you never ruined that whole childhood experience by getting up and being told to fuck off in person by a fucking punk on stage. But that's
no.
it. I mean, how loud is his amp if it's not even coming through the PA and it's still too loud?
Well, it was honestly, according to whatever meter reading the sound man showed me, it was loud. I mean, if you've got a big, he's probably running it through. I can't really remember now. He's probably running it through three cabs. I don't know, but yeah, it was it was outdoors and still his amps were too loud. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a nice little. Well, I've got a nice little connection to Brian, and as I said, he's very good. He was very good friends with my uncle. So it's been a very sad week, but I thought it would be a nice story to share.
well, as they say in the metal community, rest in power, big man. Sounds like he was a fucking class gentleman. So, great story, mate. Great
Yeah,
story.
absolutely. Okay, moving on. I thought it would seem weird if we didn't at least touch on the fact that the Wild Arts have released an album this week, right?
Would that? Would it
It,
know?
it would be remiss of me. I'm not here
Can
to.
you start like a spin-off podcast? I'll do Gav bitten off, and you can have your wee fucking ginger wild tart love letters.
Look, I'm not here to review it. I'm not here to review it. I don't believe in making judgments on albums in a week. Um, but other than to say, I've been having a really fucking lovely time with it. Um, it isn't an album that I would recommend to new Wild Arts listeners. I say that in the full knowledge that on the record this week is going to be the Wild Arts. But if you want to discover the Wild Arts, go and listen to Earth versus the Wild Arts. Or fuck, that's your albums. Um, I've got nothing else to say, but I just wanted to touch. It feels like
That's
it should be
fine.
mentioned. Do you know what else should be mentioned, Gav? Is fucking Slayer
Fucking Slater should be mentioned.
have announced two UK shows. Slayer that broke up 6 years ago and did a massive world tour. We did our well, it almost made me want to go back and listen to what I consider to be the worst ever two promoters one pod episode, which was the one we did on Slayer. It made me want
Yeah.
to go back and listen to. I bet you in that I'm saying, I bet these fuckers will announce some UK shows soon, and lo and behold, they have. I've got nothing
Yeah,
to say
it's.
other than boo.
Do you know what the thing there? Because I went back and had a look. Not my first run in, but one of my first sort of experiences. Like I was at whatever the arena shows were with when they were supporting Slipknot. And obviously our fans were going, we're doing that stupid, turn their back on it and being the fucking the same knobs you get in the metal scene. Oh, boo, boo you. So instead of leaving or going and get a pint or doing anything productive in their life, they stare at the back wall of a venue listening to a band they don't like. So I wrote a review for it for, I can't remember what website I was doing reviews for at the time. And I made that point. Like Slayer were great, but the only reason they were in an arena setting is because Slipknot took them there. And I remember the Roadrunner PR got in touch at the time. So I think I'm Britain member being I mean I'd have been fucking 19, 20 at the time and getting an email back saying Listen, you're the only person that pointed that out. Like people, it's all very well to rave about Slayer, and it's all very well to be a big Slayer fan, but the reason they're there is because of Slipknot. So to then go and see them in that setting and then turn your back and boo them, and then say about how much better Slayer were than Slipknot is just fucking gatekeep nonsense. So that was my first thought. Oh, Slayer in this arena level, and then that whole career that they had was exactly where they always were. The Barrowlands, Callum Academy, Barrowlands, supporting or a co-headline thing with Lamb of God back to the arena. Anytime it was just Slayer, it was Barrowlands and Callum Academy in Scotland. I assume the similar sized venues in the rest of the UK, and it was not changing at all. And then he said the final shows, and everyone goes, "Oh, that's pretty exciting, great support cast. We'll all go back to the arena and see them and get them a big farewell, get these slots at the." I mean, if you think about it, they weren't big enough at the time when they're saying Chiriote download to even play as this main support on the main stage. They only got the second stage, headline the second stage. So that's kind of where they were, even in their Cheerio goodbye. Now they're playing Finsbury Park. Finsbury, like Rage Against the Machine levels of. I mean, does this now make, if they sell the tickets, does this now make Slayer a band that could headline download? I suppose so, if they can sell
Yeah.
that amount. I mean, that they are now an outdoors. And what changed? Nothing. Nothing changed. I mean, same fans, same music, same records, same people in the band, and just it's amazing what that one tactic does. I mean, you fucking throw in a pandemic in the middle of that. They've only really been away for 3 or 4 years. For some bands, that's just an album cycle. So it's like they've just turned themselves into this band that was a 1,900 capacity ticket band in Glasgow on a good year 2,500 ticket capacity band to a Finsbury Park band in
Yeah.
the space of saying a fake farewell and a happy hello again. It's mad. It's like I don't even hold it against them. I'm not angry about it. I'm just like, is this the tactic? I mean, I know that you've had your Kisses and Ozzy Osbournes and Sabbaths and Guns N' Roses and that have all been doing it for decades, but is this it? Is you going to get these bands now that are about like, oh, 10 years time, Parkway Drive, go, fuck boys, let's have a wee 5 year hiatus and come back and do Finsbury Park because we're fed up with arenas. It's like it's just madness how that attracts that attention and then people buy into it so readily.
And it's also, it's not like you split up, you say it's your final shows, and then you come back and you tell everyone, look, that was bollocks. Here we are, we're back. What they do is they go, oh yeah, we're just doing these two special festival dates in America. And then it's like, yeah, actually, wait a minute, we're gonna do four. And then all of a sudden they're in a fucking different continent and they're actually doing it's kind of headline shows in the UK. It's like, I'm really ho-hum about it. I'm
Aye.
not,
Aye. And
I'm not feeling it.
it's not a good because it's fair enough to bash Slayer, but this era of just say what you want, do what you want, and fuck the fans. I mean, that's what Tool have done this week, haven't they? They get people to pay $4,000 to go and see them tool in the sand, and then give them two dog shit sets that are almost identical. I mean, no one wants to hear shit for Fear Inoculum other than you, and they're getting here.
Mate, fucking
Here's
hell. Seriously.
No one like it's time to accept it, right? It's time
No,
to accept it and move on. We want all the old material. They want to play the new material and shit in between that you don't want to hear. And they're doing it and they do it twice. Now, the James Bernard, he is a bit of a knob. I mean, you hear him like on the Joe Rogan experience and stuff. He's like his contempt for Tool fans is like palpable. He's got no interest. He really is quite condescending towards the fan base that follow Tool, and maybe rightly so in some places. I mean, some of these guys are off their fucking nut obsessive about that band. I mean, they're great, but you don't need to start fucking tearing apart their song structures and then put them back together. You don't need to take the album listings apart and then put it in a different thing and say, this is the way it was supposed to be. Just fucking leave it, right? Just leave it.
yeah.
So, aye, it's not just Slayer. It's also Tool now just saying, oh, you know what's going to sell an extra fucking 2 million worth of tickets? We'll just tell them we'll do two unique sets and then just show up and do whatever the fuck we want, basically. It's easier to do two of the same. And that's just, you get every right. I hope that I never went. I'm not that bothered that I went and watched the video, but it claims they were booed. I fucking hope they were.
I've seen some footage of it. Yeah. Because I think they did a 10-song set one night and a 9-song set the other night. And there was four of the songs were in both nights. So people went expecting, and of course, people were expecting completely unique sets. And of course, the problem with Tool is if you're if you're going to be pissed off, you've got about 12 minutes of time in that one. to get yourself really angry. It's not like a 2 minute punk song where you're like, I think they played that last night. Oh,
No,
fuck
no,
it, we're on to the next
you
song.
get
It's
and
like,
also and no on stage banter in between to help you through or
no.
camaraderie with the crowd, or you've got some fucking knob end on stage telling you to put your phone away like he's fucking God. So I say
Yeah, although,
it's not ideal for that whole situation, and I hope it's I hope some of the bands get called in it. I mean, because it's borderline trading standard stuff, isn't it? I mean, you're like
well,
at least Metallica are saying we're going out and we're going to do 2 nights in Amsterdam Arena, and you're going to get two sets of fucking I don't know Metallica play 40 songs a night, and it's all going to be different. You go like. I mean, tell you what, they stick to what they're selling. They might sell you shit tons of it, but they stick to what they're saying. They don't just come out and say, "Oh, here you go, here's sad but true again."
there's, I think they call it a class action lawsuit. So there's a lawsuit against Tool for the fact that people have bought. I mean, they were very expensive. And I can't remember where the show was, but it was somewhere you had to fucking, it's hard to get to.
Yes,
Um, and people paid a lot of money and they were expecting two unique sets. And well, they didn't get completely unique sets, did they? The sets are different, so I don't know. But I'm not calling out Tool in the way I'm calling out Slayer. And frankly, Slayer, I think, are boring live. Tool, I would struggle to name a better live band that I've seen in the last 10 years than the Tool set I saw at Birmingham NEC. It's fucking wonderful. Um,
I mean, I've seen
so,
a lot of good. I feel like I was spoiled a wee bit because I saw them in the Latter Alice tour in the Barrowlands, and then I saw them when you were getting just all. Then even in the 10,000 Days tour, all the bangers were still there. You were still getting those 3 albums worth. And whereas now, I mean, this ascending, descending, all this stuff in between, chocolate chip cookies and all that. I'm a bit like,
mate, well, look,
give me the grudge. I want the
we need
grudge.
we need to at some point we need to dissect the Tool albums a little bit because I really want to talk to you about Fear Inoculum, but not now. But my mate, I was speaking to my mate Al last night, and he reminded me that we saw Tool on the 10,000 Days tour in London twice, and they literally played in London and fucked off around the world for like 2 years, and they came back and they played the exact identical same set in the same order. So what his point was, this is not new for Tool. They're like, you'd think once you're back at the same city, I mean, you've got to give Metallica credit for that because they wouldn't do that. Metallica wouldn't. Fucking Lars would know that, and he'd have jiggled the set up. But
Yeah.
Tool are just like, no, this is our set, and we're going to play for the
This is
same
who you
people
get.
the same
James,
fucking set
James,
again.
I am not claiming to be fucking Danny Kearney, and I'm not claiming that you are James Malkinen, right? But we're going out on 7 dates, and we don't want date 1 and 2 to be the same. I mean, we're already thinking like, how boring would it be for me to sit and tell you this story, and you look at me in the eyes going, "Fuck's sake, Gav, I heard this literally last night." Never mind doing it 7 nights. Never mind doing it for a world tour over 2 years. I mean, you don't want to like drop a couple in just for your own mental health. You know, like, do I really want to sit and play this riff 420 times over the next 2 years? Do I really want to do that? Or do I want to pick out a couple of crackers and
Yeah,
mix up? I'm like, that would just, I couldn't face it. I honestly couldn't face the idea. I just commit repetitively stuck, because again, there is no stage, there's no, it's no Bruce Dickinson. He's not running about the stage either. There's not going to be in between song banter. There is going to be, it's going to be that stringent for every single, that stale almost by the time you get it for so long, every single night.
yeah, it's kind of weird that, isn't it? But I think once you factor in that they're very complicated production nowadays, it's not the same as Green Day throwing in a new song and somebody putting some lights flashing about. Tool is like very specific. So I get that it's quite
Who's
hard
a
to.
Tool fanboy in this podcast? I thought it was me. Turns out both of us, but you're the next level. You
No,
do take
no.
apart their set list and put them back together in the right order.
Actually, I wish I'd got in on the Tool bandwagon earlier, and I probably would be their biggest fanboy in the world, but not quite there. So there's one more thing I wanted to tell you before we move on from the news. I thought this is quite interesting because you never quite get a week or a month where you're not learning something new in this game. And we're Miles and I are putting on Bloodywood next week in Bristol, um, and we've been asked for a sign language like person, a BSL person, to do the sign language whilst Bloodywood are on stage. You've seen this at live gigs before, right? I've never actually seen it
I,
in the flesh,
I've
but I've
seen it.
seen it
I've
on
seen it like
TV.
I've seen it like if you're getting like a transmit or a Leeds and Reading, and you've got like say a Sabrina Carpenter on stage, and you've got someone who's doing it. But I mean, how the fuck are you going to know what Bollywood are singing about?
Well, well, quite. So first of all, you're like, is that a request that we have to pay for? You're trying to work it out. So you speak to the venue, the O2 Academy, who obviously are experienced. They've never had a request for a sign language person. So so Mars had to then go and do some research, sort it all out. It costs like there's no agreed UK fee for how much it should cost. So I think it's costing us £1,000 for 2 hours. It's
What?
complicated because you have to pay. I think we pay one person 500 quid for the first hour, and then another person subs in for 500 quid for the second hour. That's basically just that's how much it costs. Then it's complicated because you need the band's set list so that you can give them the lyrics. Because you're right, you couldn't listen to any metal song really and sign to it, could you? You need to actually know what's coming up. So it's complicated. It's further complicated by the fact that the O2 Academy stage is small and I think there's pyro. So you can't just put someone up on the stage with the band to get their head like blown off by a fucking cannon or whatever. So there's a danger safety aspect to it. So it's all quite complicated. And then who pays for this? I mean, and the answer to that is it becomes a show cost. And so I think the venue are going to pay for some of it, but the rest of it will be paid for by the promoter, us, and the band as part of the 80/20 split at the end. So it's like you've done this deal, and the margins are quite tight on shows of that size. And then all of a sudden you've got £1,000 that you didn't know. Now, having said that, at no point did we think we're not going to do this because it's the right
Yeah,
thing to do.
that's fine. But what about because especially this is the point, right? So you go and see Napalm Death, you go and see fucking I go and see Lamb of God. I mean, how many of the tracks can you ever hear or know like the lyrics of anyway? I mean, you think about it as you say, Gavin, you go up there and you even if you but I don't have a fucking clue. I know he says that now I've got something to die for, and the rest of it's all just a bit gibberish. It's like because it's just the sign language is just for the lyrics.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. And
So it's just like I'm
but there are
why
lyrics, aren't there?
I don't know enough about Bollywood to say, but I've heard bits and it's very fast paced. I mean, it's not like it's no poetry, it's no Meryl Streep.
No, no. Of course, the next obvious thing to think is if it costs £1,000 every or 400 quid an hour, you don't want to be getting it requested for three stages at Damnation, do you? For 2 days, because
Oh,
it's gonna cost you tens of thousands. So it's an interesting thing. It feels like something the industry hasn't really thought about, and there there probably should be some sort of funding stream for this sort of thing because it's a really cool thing to have. Just like
what's
other
the
accessibility policy, we've got loads of stuff we do for accessibility, and this is kind of like another string to that bow, but it's expensive.
That's it's all very interesting. All very interesting. And but I have to say, I'm not surprised that the venue don't have any experience yet, because I haven't come across it myself. But I have seen it in the major festivals, especially the major festivals that are beaming back to millions of people in their homes. You've got Glastonbury or whatever and doing it. So, aye, okay, let us know how you got on with that.
Yeah, well, it's not next week, it's the week after. So it's the night before we play in Glasgow, I think. So yeah, I will let you know when I arrive at Glasgow Airport.
Fucking how that all went. But good for Bollywood as well for thinking about it.
Yeah,
Super sub.
let's do it.
I've been terrible, absolute terrible at keeping up this, and it was a poor woman Tina, one of our fucking day oneers subs on Kofi who was picked out maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, and I've just never got down to it. So I sent her an apology. I said sorry in the last episode we never mentioned it. She goes, "Thank you for not doing that. I did not want to be associated with Stinky Pete stories for the rest of the time." So she was very relieved. I'd seen her mention before that she'd have loved to get across for one of the live shows, and she did want to get across, but ultimately the money from Norway was just prohibitive, and she never managed it. So what she wants to do instead is use the platform to give a Norwegian band a shout out, Honning Barna. Quite happy with that pronunciation, James.
Very happy, mate. I was waiting for it.
Haunting Barna. They've just released a new album. Apparently, they're a sizable name in the Norwegian rock scene. The track is MP5. When it first came on, it was weird because I heard the track just before it because I was listening to them, and it had that gave me that sort of the Hives energy vibe. It's quite a energetic, punky, but then when the vocals come in this track in particular, it's a bit more harsh. It becomes a bit more noise rock, got a bit of distortion about it. I really enjoyed it. It's one of those bands that you could see working quite well at an event like Trees, sort of high energy band going on stage, probably get quite a energetic stage show as well. So thanks for flagging him up to us, Tina. I am going to give the rest of the album a listen, and maybe who knows, maybe one day they find their way across here, and you can claim the credit.
Yeah, it was cool. I really liked it. It kind of fits in that sort of Coil Guns Refused bracket a little bit for me. And yeah, they've got like 66,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, so they're not a small band. I
No,
guess I'm gonna guess they haven't really made it over here yet. I don't know unless I've missed them, but they're cool. I would book them. So yeah, good shout, Tina.
there you go, Tina. We've got this all happening. Oh, and that's a bit I always forget. Pick somebody else. So who is from the Jar of Joy? We have Darren. Oh, that's our Darren. Darren of the Meliora fame.
Oh
His
mate,
name must have been
awesome.
it. So there you go, Darren. What would you like? You want a shout? Why not? You want a free plug for your app? I'm saving your plug until we get the 2000 Trees app up and running. So anything else you'd like, maybe add a song to on the record, Darren, or bump us for some guest list, and we will sort you out. Talking about good folk to sort out, I've been looking forward to this for a while because ISO merch have been waiting to come on and support the pod. I wanted to get the situation with Melioda complete before we started bundling stuff on. ISO merch, I have tons, absolute tons to say about these guys. They have been supporting Damnation since 2012. They've sponsored one of our stages every year since, and they now sponsor the third arena in Beck Arena. So got a great relationship with Ali and his full team. He started listening to the pod recently and then got heavily involved. I think it's just spends his days trying to catch up. The last I heard, he was at Two Promoters versus the People. So he's about, I don't know, 6 months into the pod and enjoying it. And you see him commenting every now and then with old jokes about Lewis Bruce that we've all moved on from that he's now discovering for the first time. So he sent me a t-shirt up and they want to get involved with back in the pod. He has their site, isomerch.com. It's for everyone. It's for absolutely fucking everyone. They have from Metallica on there to Meryl Streep. They've got Behemoth to Biffy Clyro. The big selling point, really, if you're somebody looking for merch, is they deal in distribution for the major companies that we don't see at our level. So they get stock in official merchandise from Black Sabbath, Metallica, and it's for sale for 18.99. And they're off on Pod 10 for pod listeners. So I went on and got a Roll to Massey t-shirt the other day, delivered for £20. And they'll get t-shirts on there for 15.99 and some of them. So my brother last year, I've known about ISO merch forever, obviously. My brother last year was going to the Sleep Talking show with his missus and he was on some of these sites. And I said, when you go there, it's going to be 40, 50 quid for t-shirts, 60, 70 quid for hoodies. Because, not because Sleep Talking are greedy, but as we've described before, these arenas have got huge levies, they've got staff to pay, they've got card charges. It's just the way it is on the live show. Go to ISO merch and he got himself a bunch of Sleep Talking t-shirts for 18, 19 quid a pop. Now, if you're a Sleep Talking fan, you can get them for even cheaper with a code. It's unreal. Honestly, it's the only thing I'd say about it is the deals are so good. You might not fancy going and paying your Damnation clothing fees. So I sent you there today, James, didn't you? What did you think of the site?
You did. So, I mean, what I really like is not only have they got shitloads of the big boys, the Maidens and the AC/DCs, is that if I just thought up some band names and just typed them in to see if they had them. So I started with Blood Incantation. Yes, they've got it. Then I went to Randy Pazuzu. Yes, they've got it. Then I went to the Mars Volta. Yes, they've got it. It's like fucking hell. Okay, this is the place for me, as well as the average AC/DC fan. So it's pretty cool. I bought using Pod 10 the Blood Incantation vinyl from last year, and I bought the new fucking Mars Volta album, which is on pre-order. Yes. and it's really cool. I had a look at their hats as well, their caps. So yeah, I'll no doubt be buying some more stuff in the future. But yeah, that like they very kindly sponsored us, and we spent some of that money back in their store, which is quite nice.
Yes,
So
yes. So as I say, I've got tons to say. It's never ending. They go for everything. They've got Alanis Morissette and Taylor Swift, and they've got everything on there. It doesn't need to be. If you've got friends who are going to the Oasis gigs coming up in August, they have a full range of Oasis stuff. They've got specialised stores for some of the bigger bands. I want to have good stuff to tell you about in the next 14 or 15 episodes, so I'll save some of that from my sleeve. Right now, just go visit, use Pod 10, show them we sent you, and you'll be hearing a lot more about ISO merch in the coming weeks. And no doubt we'll be having some new spiffy t shirts on. So thank you, Ali and the team. There is your glowing read, mate.
lovely
Questions?
stuff. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, Graham Smith says, you've covered how festival fees and touring 80/20 splits work, but how do support bands get paid? Is it a guaranteed fee regardless, or can they make a smaller cut of the versus deal? Would it make a difference if it's a small band out on tour or someone proportionally closer in size to the headliner, e.g., Megadeth is opening for Disturbed or Crowbar are supporting Napalm Death?
Okay, so I will give you my sort of. I've got less insight than James does because James clearly does a lot of these local tours with Miles, and I'm more restricted to the festival side of it, where this doesn't apply. But there's different, my understanding, different levels to it. Now you can go right from the scumbag management band approach of you're just a buy on. You're out there. Let's use Disturbed for an example, not for this tour, but just because I don't mind slagging them off. And they go out on tour and say, for 3 grand a night, you can come and open up for us wherever we are, and that's the deal. And a band get the option to bid for that. They put in there, I don't know, 50, 60 grand that they can pull together and they get a chance to go out and support Disturbed, the Five Finger Death Punch. And when you go out there, I'm sure you probably get a wee bit of catering, but it'll be it. There'll be nothing else. You'll not be like you'll get no sound check. You'll be the afterthought of everything on that tour. Now that's the most brutal version of it. There's a buy-on version of it that's like it's dressed up like it's not a buy-on. It's like give us £600 and you can come out and you'll get 4 beds in on the tour bus, or you'll pay for some of the marketing spend. Now the reason it's still a buy on is that's non-negotiable. You can't go back and say no, thanks for giving us a sports slot. We won't give you the money, but we'll just use our own van. It's very much no, whoever's coming on is paying onto this, but you get something for it. You get the support slot plus you get maybe a bed on the tour bus. And then you get the ones that a lot of the shows you see that we've got currently, if you've got a band like, I don't know, Pupil Slicer going out with Boil Guns and God Alone. I mean, they're not buy-ons. I mean, God Alone, I'm paying Pupil Slicer to go out and do that. So that's just a case of they'll get whatever slice of the pot's available. Maybe in this situation, they might go out, maybe they'll not get paid. But it's like the slot's there, you don't pay us yet and we don't pay you yet. And you come out and you support us. I'm using that. I mean, Hayden is our agent. He put that tour together. I'm sure all bands get paid something, but it's not. There's no versus bit with that. The headliner gets that. You get your support, and the promoter getting it'll probably like, do you want to get Pupil Slicer? This is the fee for Pupil Slicer, and we need a support budget of X. And then those support bands will get maybe one band will get 75% X, another band will get 25% X. It won't be a huge amount, but you'll get something, and there'll hopefully be catering in there for you, so you're looked after. But that's the 3 layers of the way that I know it, and I couldn't really answer by the time it gets to like how the Megadeth to Disturbed situation happens. So James, what's your take?
Just to be clear, you're not accusing Disturbed of having buy-ons, are you? You're just using them as an
No,
example. There's
I
no,
just
you don't.
I know,
uh,
I don't know. I'm just saying, if I was going to accuse a band, I mean, the guy signs bombs. I'm sure he's not against making a band buy onto his tour. So I've got no idea what Disturbed do. I mean, a situation like Megadeth clearly are not buying on, but I've just rather than picking a band I really like and then shitting them.
Yeah. So look, as you say, the main answer to Graham's question is support bands usually get a guaranteed fee. You would be amazed how shit those fees are sometimes. I can't name the name of the band here, but there was a rock band arena tour going out around the UK, and one of my friends was offered a One of my friends is in quite a well-known band, and they were offered a support slot, and he was like, "We got offered 150 quid, and they're doing arenas, and we turned it down because it's fucking insults, basically." Um, so the fees can be really fucking shit. It's part of the Versus deal in that the costs of the show include the support band fee. So you pay for venue hire, and you pay for PRS, and you pay for rider. You also pay for the support band. So it just goes in as a cost, and the headliner will pay 80% of the support band's fee, and the promoter will pay 20% essentially. If it's a co-headline, so um, what's a big co-headline that's out at the moment? So I can't actually think of any good ones, but where bands are co-billed. So Judas Priest and Iron Maiden tour together, and they call themselves co-headline, or AC/DC and Metallica co-headline.
Well, the odd one that just happened, the very odd one was Green Lung and On to Others. And
Okay, yeah,
that seems like, because Green Lung were clearly doing great sales in the UK, and they said this is not a dig. I don't know anything about Onto Others, but they weren't. They weren't doing great sales, and anyone who went to King Tut show in Glasgow would know that. So it was weird that one band who were if one band were doing 500 tickets and one band were doing 50 tickets, it was an odd one that the two of them were going out on the same billing.
yeah. Well,
Like, at least in the face it.
that kind of fits well with my the point I was making, because what I'm trying to say is that there's the front end that the public can see, and it looks like a co-headline. So Green Lung Unto Others, AC/DC and Metallica, whatever. And then there's the back end, which is what the actual financial deal they've made is. And it may be that Green Lung and Unto Others co-headlined in Europe together, but Unto Others actually took more of the percentage at the back end. And then when they came to the UK, Green Lung took more. That would be like a possible way of doing it. It's not always the case that if you're getting 80%, one band takes 40% and the other band takes 40%. I mean, it's worth remembering that there aren't really any actual rules. It's not like accountancy where someone's actually written a rule book. It's like it basically whatever you can negotiate. So Megadeth's agent is very able to negotiate. Disturbed will have really wanted Megadeth. They're worth tickets to that tour. They're not as big as turns out, depressingly, Megadeth are not as big as Disturbed. So I'm going to guess that they're not sharing in the profit, but maybe they negotiated it. They'll have got themselves a whacking great fucking fee, won't they, to play it?
Yeah, they're
With
not they're
Crow,
not going out for exposure. I mean, at the end of the day, probably try to
no,
keep themselves a bit more relevant to a crowd if they know that Disturbed are going to get this fantastic crowd for the 20th anniversary of Down with the Sickness. But they're not going out to say, let's get some exposure. It's they're going
no,
out for money to make money.
absolutely. And maybe they think they can nick a few fans, and it will help them on the next Megadeth tour, or probably the next Megadeth album. And it's the same with Crowbar. It's like a different audience to go out with Napalm Death to the one they might normally play to. So,
And,
they're a
and, and,
support
and be
band.
fair, that see what you're saying about there's no rules and everyone tackling it for different. So here's the thing: is you go right, we're a band and we believe we can sell out these venues we're going into. You're not then, say you're a 5 grand band, right? You're not then going to and shelling out 2 grand on your support budget because you want all the money for you. You believe you can sell it. So what happens when those ones you go out and you might get a local support, two local supports maybe, or you might take out a band you really like, but a baby band, as industry call them, from your agent's roster. That happens a lot. Then you get the ones where it's very clear to see you get the bands like we could probably fill Glasgow Garage, but we want to fill SW3G as us as the standalone headliner. Now, what they packages great, you can tell them straight away. The packages are fucking great. There's nothing, but that's not a slight. They're put on like we want to draw fans from each of these support bands. Now, these support bands, because they draw fans, will be more expensive. So the band you could have got for £200 might cost you a grand now. But what you get is you get to go to a bigger venue and sell more tickets. And there's varying degrees of success for that. What Napalm Death have become spectacular at and have now just completed their most successful ever UK tour is that campaign for musical destruction is just always a super package. It's
Yeah.
always got absolutely stunning bands on it. And this year it was Crowbar, Full of Hell and Brat. And that's the kind of package that instead of getting 500 fans out to gets 1,000 fans out to.
Yeah, and you'll find that each agent sort of approaches this in a different way. So some will always want to keep their support band fees really low. And if you're confident in your band's going to sell out, then you can see why you do that. But if it's something like Napalm Death, where they're regularly touring the UK, they maybe have decided we need something a bit more. We're going to have to sacrifice some of our budget to get known bands in, um, so that we can sell good tickets or play slightly bigger venues. So yeah, it depends on how you deal with it. There are no rules, right? So it could be fucking anything going on in the back end.
I
Um,
could be whatever the fuck you want. So hope that answers that for you, James. Matt Lawson Hall would love to know your thoughts on Ghostfest coming back after 10 years off. They sold out their early birds in 4 minutes. Now, Matthew, is this your first episode of Two Promoters One Pod? Did they tell you how many? Did they tell you how many early birds were on sale? Because if they never, then how do you know they sold it? It could have been they sold out 4 tickets. Now, if they told you it was 1,000 early birds were on sale, and then they told you 1,000 early birds sold, then fair enough, take it face value. I'm sure they're no liars, but if you just tier one or early bird or super early bird or blind bird and there's no number attached to it and then they say they
no,
sell out, then aye, I mean, I'm sure. But that could be anything. That could literally be the one ticket they put in sale and the guy bought it. So Matthew, come on, don't be duped. Don't be duped by that. My thoughts though on Ghostfest come back. Aye, great. Great. It was a festival that was kicking around at a time when Damnation was in its infancy and done really well. I mean, that scene was always, I mean, it went on to become the scene that like Bring Me Horizon, Architects, and all those bands. I mean, some of them, you look at some of the old Ghostfest flyers, I mean, like Devil Wears Prada and fucking Parkway Drive, and like all these bands just went on to be fucking arena fillers. So there's obviously a lot of nostalgia there. And I don't know who's on this lineup, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of people want to roll back the years. And if they can get a big name involved, then it'll do well. I think it's in Leeds, maybe at the old uni that we used. So, I mean, it wasn't a scene that I was devoted to. I mean, I don't mind a few of the bands. Quite happy to watch a Bring Me Horizon or Architect show these days, but it's not the kind of music that I listen to. And if there was a couple few things on there that I liked, I would go along. But good for them. I think it's in June as well. It'll put no impact in my event. I mean, I thought it'll be much impact even in your events.
no.
And let's see what they come out with. But I like that whole so still after 62 episodes, you're still getting duped with a bit of marketing there.
Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors, that, isn't it? We sold out in 4 minutes. Maybe they did have good sales, but yeah, don't know. I don't understand people doing indoor festivals in the summer. I just don't get it. But yeah, hey ho.
Okay.
Next question. Mark Tilley says, are there any stories of near misses over the years with regards to bands you nearly booked but didn't? Then they went well out of reach, e.g., nearly booking Bring Me the Horizon or Sleep Token for Trees, and now they headline Reading and Download, etc.
Yes, talking about Bring Me Horizon Architects, that's two of them. I think I've mentioned before, the bands that stand out is the bands that were due to either play Damnation or in Architects' case in 2007 were actually booked to play Damnation and never happened. Where Bring Me Horizon way back when it was like they were a £200 band in 2005, 2006, then Architects in 2007, and then I am sure Ghost and Paul would know better about that sort of 2009-10 era. I think they were supposed to be going out on a tour with Blood Command. No, Blood Command, Blood Ceremony. That had to been an odd tour. Blood Command, Blood Ceremony. And I'm not even sure in the end if that we never went for the package, but I'm not even sure in the end if that tour even took place, or if Ghost just jumped on the rocket ship and went straight to the moon after that those deals were being discussed. So those were three. Another one that I mean, Behemoth or I mean, you could arguably still probably maybe get your hands on Behemoth if you want to dig deep enough in your pocket for Damnation now. But it was a year that we got offered Behemoth with Devil Driver and Asking Alexandria were opening. Suicide Silence and Asking Alexandria, and I wouldn't take Asking Alexandria. I was willing to take the other three, and whoever was putting the package together was like, "No, you need to take the opening band, Asking Alexandria." I was like, "Not a fucking chance." And they obviously, but that was makes no difference where they came. They were just never a Damnation band in my eyes or anyone's eyes. So those are bands that went past. But I always maintain. I mean, it's like it makes no difference to the year. I mean, it must be great for you to look back and see your 2000 trees at fucking I don't know 2010 or 11 or whenever and having idols on there and a wee bit at the bottom. But it doesn't make any difference to your 2011. You never sold the 20,000 tickets that it would sell you now. It's just it just looks good in a poster. It's of absolute no merit. Other than having the nostalgia, I look back and say, "Oh, that was classic. We'd Bring Me the Horizon for £200." It wouldn't have done any different to Damnation 2005. So I don't look at those and go, "Oh, in near misses, we would have also been in that rocket ship when it went in." Bring Me the Horizon played everything in that period, including Ghostfest, 42 times, and it's not like Ghostfest went to the moon. So you just there is a few ones where I'd have been neat to have them in the poster, but it wouldn't have made any difference to Damnation.
No, although the more of those you have, the more I feel like you can be like, look, guys, get up early and get in the fucking tent and watch that fucking band because
Yeah.
that'll be the headliner. Well, Kneecap is a really good example for us of if you'd watched them play at 1 p.m. a few years ago, you'd now be lording it over everyone. And it's like, there's a lot. If you've got examples like that, it's quite a nice story. But you're right, it doesn't necessarily sell you any tickets in that year. You just hope your reputation. I mean, there's a wild question coming up later about this, which we'll talk about then. But I feel like this is what we do. We
Okay. Okay, listen, I was just about to. I was going to let this slide, and I swear to God, the guys at Radar would have set me on fire if I let this slide. But just because we were talking about that, and I remember the whole sleep token situation, you publicly outed the poor bastards at Radar. You said that despite the fact that you've always been good to them, they blocked you on sleep token. I had it from every angle that you can receive correspondence from Radar, including the text, the message that you sent to them asking, and they said yes, you could announce Sleep Token for that year. So, would you like to publicly walk those comments back, James?
thanks for checking with me, Gav, on to whether or not to bring this up. Appreciated it. Um, do you know what? I've got it first on my list here to say that the near miss we had was Sleep Token before they got on a rocket to the moon, and Radar did get in contact and say that they didn't block us. So if the it, I put, sorry, Joe, if I apologize if you didn't block me, I believe you if you say you didn't. That is just wild to me. I don't even understand what happened now. Now I look back, I'm like, what the fuck happened then?
That
What's the
was
agent playing at?
that was a sneaky way out of that one. Something else changed, like, ah, fuck it, we'll just blame Radar. And that was
Yeah.
the.
I just can't even begin to work out what went down there really, unless they were thinking, because I did subsequently have a conversation with the agent, which was basically like 2003 in the year after or the next one after that. 2000 trees is an option for Sleep Token. They're basically going that download headline is happening,
Yeah,
but maybe not next year. And then they just kept growing, haven't they? And they've done everything quicker than everyone thought. And
yeah.
now download headlines already happened. So they will forever be that band now that we missed out on. Let's not forget they played Arctangent on the fucking third stage in the middle of the day. So yeah, wow. Other bands I missed out on. Have we talked about Mumford and Sons and Ed Sheeran before? We have we?
Yeah, we definitely,
Um,
we 100%. I think both, but Ed Sheeran was the one 75 quid before he was
yeah,
anyone in Mumford was like a couple hundred quid in a London basement.
yeah, and like Mumford were like trying to negotiate with me, and I was just like, no. And they were like, we're gonna break. I've got a band booking at the moment for Trees, and the agent's like, they're about to break, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Of course you think they're about to break.
That's why you're doing that.
It turns out Mumford and Sons were actually about to break, and it would have been quite a nice thing to have on the
And then the
CV.
agents
Although,
forget, see the 15 bands that were about to break and never ever break. Then
yeah,
you never hear about the ones, but you hear about the ones that actually did get bigger at the time. Because how
yeah,
many times, like, I did fuck this up. I was thinking about a story for the podcast earlier, that band, The Gates of Slumber, who we had in 2009. All I heard was about how they were about to break. And have you ever heard of The Gates of Slumber?
no, not unless it's Oceans of Slumber and you've got the name wrong.
No. It's The Gates of Slumber. No, oh, she's a Slumber's a female singer. No. Aye, so the amount of times you get fucking bands. Oh, see, next year this band will be worth 10 grand, and you're getting them for a grand because right now they're worth a grand. Probably not even. So don't tell me what they're going to be worth next year, because next year you'll have them playing fucking Art Tangent anyway. So
Yeah,
beat
it's
it.
it's hard. I mean, I've got this band at the moment where they've sold out one decent venue in London and fucking nothing anywhere else. And it's like they're going to break. I'm like, well, no, they've got 1,500 fans in London, and they've
Yeah,
got no, as far as I can see, no evidence of any fans anywhere else apart from some streaming. So yeah, that's a bit strange. Just coming back to the question and specifically about Bring Me the Horizon, which again we may have talked about before, but I went to see Bring Me the Horizon supported by Architects in 2006 at the Underworld in London. That was at the point of time where I was just going to every rock gig in the fucking universe. And so what I don't know why I didn't book them for 2000 Trees back then, because they would have been, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were too heavy. Because that fucking first, this is before they had an album out. That first mini album is horrible in
Aye,
every
but
way.
when they were proper deathcore.
Yeah. I don't even know what you call it really. Um, so maybe we should have booked them. And Architects were there with a different singer. Anyway, but the big one who got away, and I don't know if I've ever talked about this anywhere, but you'll no doubt correct my memory, is that in 2017, Blink-182 did an arena tour of the UK.
You never spoke about that in here.
Yeah, Blink-182 did an arena tour of the UK in July. And I can't actually remember how that conversation came out, but we basically got to a point where the agent was saying to me, make an offer. So a Blink-182 fee is going to be in the hundreds of thousands, right? I can't actually tell you what it was. And our band budget at the time was under 100 grand for a headliner. So I think I offered the highest we'd ever offered, like in the low, sort of like 125. And it was basically like, look, you go and do your fucking arena tour, and in the middle of it, come and play 2000 Trees. You'll have a lovely time. And we got quite a long way down the road to getting Blink 182 headlining Trees. And then there was a period where I thought it was going to happen. And that would have been fucking cool. I mean, I'm not actually in any way, shape, or form am I a fan. My pop punk fandom ended in 1995, but would have been cool. So
I
that was
mean, not
one that
only
got
that,
away.
that's a sellout. I mean, all these bands had this weird period where all your Limp Bizkits and Corns and Blink 182s, where they did take a proper dip in popularity, and a lot of them went into sort of academy sized venues. But Blink 182, even at that, was still Blink 182. You know what I mean? It's like that at the top of your posters, probably selling out trees pretty quickly. And that's when it gets away. You're like, oh my God, that would have been something pretty spectacular.
Yeah, do you know the thing that always scuppers these deals is the other promoter? Because that would be like, AEG or Live Nation or someone like that. And they're like, well, why the fuck would we want a festival in the middle of our arena tour run? No thanks.
Aye.
I've had offers in recently for headliners where there's other UK shows and the big promoter is basically just like, no, just no.
And
So
we had
that's
not to sit in this question forever because we're never actually going to get through any question in this fucking episode, but we had a Damnation Versus episode where you had the Pixies, where, like, in London the day before one of your festivals as well. I don't think you ever got very far with it, but it was one of the ones where it's so tantalisingly close. Like, why wouldn't you just come and headline 2000 Trees at the same weekend?
yeah. Yeah, I can't remember who that was supporting. Or were they the headliner?
Were they the headliner or were they supporting? It makes me feel like they maybe were, or maybe they were doing the Doolittle tour, and it was just like that weekend right there, and then you're like, oh, I mean, it's difficult to get a band that size across to obviously just do your festival, but when they're sitting there and you're saying, look, there's another, I don't know, can we get you 100 grand? Well, can you come up to a farm for a night and take another 100 grand? And it's like, it just feels maybe in your head more realistic than it ever was to the agent, but it's still tantalisingly close.
Yeah, but see, for me, sometimes there's some agents, like there's agents that are these like mega agents that do all the mega bands, and they'll have like a Weezer or a Pixies or something that is suitable and size right for 2000 Trees. But because they're a mega agent, 2000 Trees is just a speck in the distance to them. They probably never even fucking heard of it. They don't give a fuck. And I sometimes wish, like if Kneecap's agent Ed, if he looked after the Pixies, they would have already played 2000 Trees, definitely, because he would
Yeah,
have made it happen. And I always used to say if only Hayden was Neurosis's agent, they would have played Arctangent. But it was just the way Neurosis organized their life, I just couldn't get in the door. And so sometimes your relationships with agents are so strong, and you just wish that all the bands would be there because,
yeah,
you know,
no, I mean, fuck Jesus. I know, I feel that every single day. I mean, I've never more than currently at the minute, just like if some of these agents are just sort of wake up to, I mean, and some of them I feel like this isn't the top of the picture. I'm talking about these bands that, yeah, 200 capacity, exciting bands that are just with some of these European agents, and then they land in the UK, and it's like 1 week before Damnation or 1 week after Damnation. He's like, we're right here, right? 6,000 capacity, pay you 3, 4 times what you're getting paid in London, play to fucking 2, 3,000 people, sell 15 grand worth of merch. I mean, this is business for you. This is like
Yeah.
the band's ultimately not going to do a great deal of difference for Damnation because we're just going to get a band of similar ilk, as you'd say. And here you are just fucking ignoring it so you can go and play Glasgow. It's madness. But anyway, we're definitely going off on one.
Okay.
Obey Jones, question mainly for Gav. I saw you'd recently said you were near the halfway mark with ticket sales. Well, there now. Well done, first for that. Secondly, would this convince you in any way to keep Damnation as a 2-day festival, or is another reason the year's stacked lineup, the hype given the pod, keeping it as a 1 year? Basically, do I want to keep it as a 1 year thing? I just really got you to read that question since me fucking answering it now. The I tell you what,
Particularly
James.
as you did such a bad job of reading it as well.
I was trying to skim read it because it was quite a long question asking the same thing, and I was like, first I'm completely fucking this up. So he's asking, is it will you keep it 2 days next year, or do you think it's just been a one-off success because of the 20th anniversary? I It's hard to tell that why we've done so well, why we've sold 3,000 tickets so early in the year. We only half the lineup. But what I am really enjoying is the freedom to book more bands. I mean, so where the Damnation poster, as you see it now, would be a full lineup for any other given Damnation. I'm only halfway through the booking stage. So it's been great. It's been so good to have that double amount of slots, and it must just be such a pleasure to book something like Art Tangent where you've got stages upon stages to go and really test stuff out and not always think that everything to be fucking concrete that it's going to work. You can take a chance with some bands. So I've really enjoyed that. We'll be fan led with it. I If we sell this out and the lineup over 2 days great and everyone that comes have a great weekend, it would be tough for me to just go, okay, we've done that once, let's go back and just do 1 day. But if everyone came and about like it was too much, too expensive, it was 2 days is too much for me. I feel like I enjoyed the 1 day Damnation better, and that's what I'd buy a ticket for. I mean, I would like everything. I'd be fan led by how people wanted their Damnation to be. But I've certainly enjoyed the planning stages of it, and it's been great to have that freedom to book as many bands as we have so far.
Yeah, good. I mean, one thing I really want to do is dig into the finances again. I actually listened back. I think I messaged you the other day. I listened back to our festival costs episode the other day, and there's loads more that I'd like to say about the summer festivals, but I've also got a bunch of questions around that with how Damnation compares to last year, just because it's really a different model, a different business model in a way, isn't it? If you're
Yeah.
past the halfway sales, that's that's better than it sounds, isn't it? Because that's past the halfway mark on both on times two. So that is like
So
whereas
it's 6,000
previously,
tickets.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
si-
exactly,
it's 6,000
exactly.
tickets. So we no, what I hadn't even really thought of, James. Our turnover for this year is now beyond the turnover for
Well,
last
this is
year.
yes, yeah. So this was what I was going to ask. Um, so yeah, I'd like to dig into that because obviously Night of Salvation last year was smaller than the main day, whereas this year it's going to be 2 days. So yeah, great,
Well, let's get into
good.
the exact cost of our festivals part two. Yeah, because I've got a lot to say about that, and it does make it financially. As long as you've got the support. I mean, end of the day, the bill's bigger, so you don't get the support you need. The debts are bigger, but we have had the support we've needed so far, and I'm hoping that that's going to continue. Jesus, we sell the place out. I'll be fucking loaded. I'll be absolutely fucking loaded. So let's continue down that path. Right,
Happy days, love it.
read a question better than I managed, James.
Okay, Steve Dunn says, thinking about the Bloodstock Winter Bash chat, I bet Manchester is a high contributor for ticket sales, but where crossover gigs take place further afield, e.g., Chelsea Wolf in Bristol, is that a worry? ATG is less regionalised, but is Kerry King in Bristol a risk for both the festival and the gig?
Tell me about Kerry King in Bristol.
Mate, I'll tell you about fucking Kerry King. I rang up Gojira and Mastodon's agent to talk about Gojira and Mastodon. and she said to me, book Kerry King. And I said, Kerry King is not suitable for Arctangent. And we had a bit of a disagreement about whether Kerry King was suitable for Arctangent. And now Kerry King is playing a show in Bristol that clashes with Arctangent. And if anyone wants to go and see that rather than come to Arctangent, they can fuck themselves because they must be fucking mental. Like seriously, who who's going? Come on,
I
there's
mean,
no crossover with.
especially now, especially now. I mean, if you were just a heartbroken Slayer fan who was just accepting that that was your lot, that was your lot, then your version of Slayer for the rest of the time was going to be Kerry King releasing what would have been Slayer music, then fair play. You're taking what you can get. Slayer are back. We don't need Kerry King. Kerry King is going to be
I
where
mean,
he's supposed to be.
to be honest, it's a very good point that the main attraction of going to see Kerry King is when he reels out Rain in Blood and fucking Angel of Death, and now you can just see Tom Araya sing that instead with Slayer. I mean, because I know it might come across like I don't like Slayer, but I do like Slayer. I could not have less of an interest in Kerry King's solo if that I'm just not interested, and I can't see that there's any crossover. So, with that regard, it's a total meh from me. There's a band called King Buffalo. I don't know if you know them. They
I know
are
the name.
playing.
I just know the name.
They're playing in Bristol during the festival, and I am absolutely just gobsmacked that Desert Fest have chosen to promote that show. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. I don't know. I reached out to the agent and was like, "What's going on? Like, why didn't you just contact me? I'll book them for Arctangent." And so I ended up saying to him, "Just come and play Arctangent. You can open the main stage Saturday morning. You know, I'll give you a reasonable fee, but not your proper fee. You're in Bristol. Just just come 5 miles down the road. Just play to 4,000 people and fuck off again." And they didn't want to do it. So I'm not worried about King Buffalo. They're playing a 400 cap venue in Bristol. Their sales will 100% get hit by Arctangent. Where do you think Bristol fans of that sort of music are going to be that weekend? They're going to be in a field at Fernhill Farm. It's just stupid.
What's the situation with Kerry King? What venue is he playing?
I don't know actually. No, I'm not, I can't remember. I just I just don't care about Kerry King.
It's
But
so, I mean, it's so bizarre. I mean, there's a lot of Kerry King fans that are going to be at that show, and basically, we don't want no art tangent from a poster on a wall. You know what I mean? It's like, never heard them all, guy. Who the
yeah,
fuck are exposed this
you
guy?
know, like the Venn diagram of Bloodstock and Arctangent. There is a crossover. We see it on our pod group. There are some people that go to both those festivals. But the people that are going to both those festivals, I don't think are the Kerry King fans. It's the other Bloodstock fans that are going to see Kerry King. Just Kerry King is a Bloodstock or a download artist. But when just going back to Steve's question, he talks about like Chelsea Wolfe playing in Bristol during Damnation, um, and that sort of thing for me does impact. It's why I got so lively about Core and that was clashing with Arctangent. I don't want to have lots of the bigger artists in my genre playing anywhere in the UK that weekend. I'd rather, but if I'd known King Buffalo were going to be playing Bristol, I would have just booked them myself. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't.
I mean,
I got the option to book Kerry King. I didn't want to, and no doubt if you'd been able to book Chelsea Wolf, I'm sure you would have at least had a conversation about that. It's you
yeah, I
know
mean, we tried. We tried. I mean, I think it's quite public with that as well. It's just we tried. Made like the money was better than the elsewhere, but she was very adamant about going out and doing. I think she viewed. I mean, this is me completely putting. Maybe she just heard that Damnation was an utter shit show, and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. But if that wasn't what she heard, I'm guessing she looked at a poster that had at that time when we were trying to book her, Bleeding Through and Nails as the top names in it, and she was coming out with a more gentle album, and looked at that lineup and was like, do I really want to be good at and doing my material brand new on this album run in front of Nails and Bleeding Through fans? Probably not the best setting. I mean, again, we've had that before. We tried when we booked Ulver years back. It took forever to book Ulver because we're like, we're just not playing this death metal and grindcore festival. And you're like, no. But at that point, you had fucking This Will Destroy You and Maybe She Will and fucking a bunch of soft bands had played. But once you get that perception thing that Damnation is what it is, do you really want to be the one that stands up on stage when you think it's just about a bunch of gnarly napalm death fans that are in front of you?
Yeah.
So, aye, that was a sore one because it was like feel like the agent was on board. We were desperate to have Chelsea Wolves play, and ultimately she ended up in Bristol. Again, we know for a fact that I mean, I'm sure it sold well in Bristol. It might even have sold out in Bristol, but wherever she went, there would have been ticket sales taken away for the fact that those fans were at Damnation because we had the people at Damnation saying, "Bastard, I am missing out on Chelsea Wolf." This night or the night before we're Night of Salvation because they're playing my city when I'm already in Manchester to see Damnation or Night of Salvation. So it's not ideal. You're always going to clash with something, and we always do clash with something. But something like that was a sore one because we wanted Chelsea Wolves to play Damnation.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a bit of a kicker.
Okay, James Taylor, I'll read this one for you properly. One for Mr. Scarlett. I noticed that Oxfam are no longer covering ATG and you're doing in-house volunteering this year instead, but they're still doing trees. What led to this decision?
Well, I believe that Oxfam have rejigged and streamlined how they're doing festivals. And for some reason, they wanted to do trees and not ATG next year. And I think it's because trees is bigger and they earn more money from it. So obviously, Oxfam is a charity, but it's worth and volunteers. The stewards volunteer for free at the festivals, but thinking that it's free is not true. Arctangent spent £17,000 last year on stewards. A lot of that via Oxfam. So we you make like a sort of a contribution to Oxfam, and then they provide the stewarding services. So really, Oxfam couldn't do or wouldn't do Arctangent this year. So it wasn't a decision we made. It was a done deal. And they wanted to carry on at Trees. We've got a longer relationship with them at Trees. And it's a bigger festival with more people and they make more money out of us. I think is the answer. It's not something that I've been in a couple of calls recently about Oxfam, but it's not something that I lead. So yeah, that's about as much detail as you can get out of me on that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, okay. I'll go Chris Neil. If you could relive any year of Damnation, Trees, or Art Tangent, which would you choose and why? I'll let you guys decide if you've got the power to make any changes to those years.
No, I'm not making any changes. I am going to go for 2000 Trees 2007. I just want to go, it's the first year, I just want to go and stand and look around and be like, fucking hell, man. Is it really how I remember it? I want to watch a bit of Frank Turner on the main stage. And there was this famous sunset during the band Brigade. They were like a moderately successful rock band at the time that I really liked. And I remember stood with some of the Trees organisers doing the fucking pit security because we hadn't booked a pit barrier. And as you know, um, and just looking at the sunset, being like, "This is fucking great. This is a moment." And so I just want to go back and see and relive that. And Arctangent, there is only one answer for a year I want to go back to, and that is 2018, because my wife was pregnant and about to give birth, and I missed shitloads of bands. I'm talking shitloads. I didn't see Glassjaw headline the main stage. I don't mean I didn't see one song. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I was actually in Bristol at the time it was happening. So I did see a lot that year. Like I saw Shellac, it was fucking great. But I missed so much. It's horrible booking a lineup and not seeing it. I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Oh God, I would. I mean, at the end of the day, I suppose good enough reason, but that the whole year of doing that, getting the bands being excited about it, and then ultimately not being able to see it unfold would be a lot. I would struggle massively not to be at Damnation. I mean, there are plenty of bands. You know what it's like. You just don't get a chance to see them because you're milling about or dealing with a tour manager or fetching towels. But being actually not at the festival at all, not having a good, like, not having a problem to deal with and just no seeing the band would be a lot. I am going to. It's a weird one for me because I think I've mentioned previously about the 2021 post pandemic or coming out of the pandemic. Again, that was the best feeling festival, maybe the best feeling event that I have ever been to. In the sense, it was just so euphoric. Everyone there was just a sense of getting back to something that we loved and missed for so long. And for us, from the behind the scenes, having to restructure that entire lineup with I don't know fucking 6, 7, 8 weeks notice and getting those bands in, your Carcasses and Paradise Lost doing Gothic, bringing all the UK bands in to replace the Pig Destroyers and Wolves in the Phone Rooms and that we'd lost. And just that day, everybody seemed so goddamn fucking happy. You know when we got asked the question a few episodes ago about what we want to ban, and I said people that are just having that microcosm moan right there about the whole that the pizza wasn't hot enough, the queue was too long. See, that day, there was none of that because everybody was so fucking grateful that we had live music back. Everybody was so grateful that we were in a fucking crowd together, moshing and crowd surfing, and you never had time to worry about did somebody not hold the toilet door open for you anyway, and did one of the bouncers look at you the wrong way? So you've just like, from start to finish, it just felt like the whole day was fucking bliss. And it's weird because if I went back to it, unless you had the circumstance that led up to it, that feeling would no longer be there. So I would need to go back to the way it was and I would have even missed it in that day, watching Bosk and Conjurer. I remember watching Bosk and Conjurer on that thing. They were two of the best bands that ever taken the stage. I was watching them like jaw dropping. I mean, I know they're amazing, but I was like, how can live music be this fucking good? And it's like, because you've been starved at it, son. You've been absolutely starved of what you loved and done for so many years. And it'd be difficult to ever recapture that exact feeling of how it was because even going back to that first download pilot, that was a celebration, but not with bands that I loved. This when we done the winter version, that was a celebration with bands that I absolutely loved, and it was just perfect, absolute perfect.
It was a fun summer, that wasn't it? Actually, we went. I saw you at Download Pilot, and I saw you at Bloodstock,
Yes,
and probably I can't remember if there's another one, but yeah. And then I don't. I've got a feeling I missed that Damnation.
I think you did. I don't recall seeing
Who
you, but it was
headlined that
like that.
Damnation? Who
I don't
headlined
think
it?
that was Carcass end up coming in at the last minute.
No, I was there.
Oh, you would have been
No,
because you
I
watched Year or No
fucking was
Light.
there.
Because there was one package that made it across for France. It was Year or No Light, Sylvain, and Regardless Holmes Tomba. And you were sitting up on the balcony watching Year or No Light.
Yeah, yeah, we had a fucking great time that year. Yeah, yeah. I know. I remember being in the. Yes, no, sorry, it's all come back to me now. Boss Keloid played in that side room as well.
Good mention, considering they just get flagged up the group saying for all the great British bands, you never give Boss Caled a shout out. So you're a massive Boss Caled. I mean, I like them too, but you've always been a supporter of that band and always shouted them out.
Yeah, I really like them. I've spent a lot of years banging on about them. I'm hoping they've got a new album in the works, and they will no doubt be back at ATG. Okay,
How long have we been going for?
um, I'm going to say an hour and 25 minutes, but I don't know.
We'll do another question and then get on to on the record. So we'll don't turn this into an epic.
Well, let's do. Okay, I'm going to pick the question then.
Okay.
Sure,
Look,
that's okay.
look
Jasmine
goes, mate.
Katie.
You fucking you make big decisions if you want.
Jasmine Katie says, as a fellow one-man band self-employed person, I totally understand that feeling of needing another trusted person to sound ideas to. In relation to this, I have a question for you both for the pod. Have either of you ever experienced feelings of imposter syndrome? And if so, how have you dealt with it, or how do you try to deal with those feelings?
Okay. Do you want to go first with that one?
Okay. Because I think imposter syndrome is a massive thing in the music industry, and everyone's fucking fronting it up and blagging. But most of us have got it. And I think that's mainly because you don't need any qualifications or any training. You can literally just wake up one morning and go, I am a booking agent. And it's like, what do you do as a job? I'm a booking agent. Like, no one knows whether you're actually booking any gigs or earning any money, but you can just say it. I am a promoter. So how I deal with it is I regularly remind myself that people, particularly in the rock world, whether they're promoters, managers, agents, or whatever, they started out knowing nothing. They all worked their way up. All the people that we work with, 99% of them did not get handed anything. They've all made their own success. And I've got a bunch, you've basically got to build it yourself. I've got a bunch of examples. So when I first started booking festivals, there was a guy, Ian Evans, who was um, booking Why Not Festival. And me and him, I think it's fair to say, didn't really know particularly what we were doing. We used to talk to each other on the phone a lot. We still talk now. And Ian is like the head booker at Isle of Wight Festival, and he is one of the big cheeses at Live Nation, booking fucking massive shit all the time. And we started off you know, not knowing what he was doing. He's like one of the great, I think, one of the great success stories in the sort of festival booking world. And then the other one, of course, is Cam, who's now the head honcho at Download. Um, and those people, I'm sure, must get imposter syndrome. I mean, the booking agent Anna Bewers. I remember the day I met her for the first time, and she was an assistant. She's now looking after Deftones, Yumi at Six, and what's that? That pop artist. I'm really bad with pop music. Chapel.
Chaperone.
Yeah.
Pint
Thanks, Gav.
Pony Club. Fuck me, man. That's a banger. There's
I
a
don't.
fucking banger of a
Right.
tune.
So I think Anna's her agent as well. I don't know any of those songs, but Matt Hughes, who does the press for us, he's just a big fucking music fan like I am, and he's now looking after Maynard James Keenan and Mike Patton, and you know, everyone's got imposter syndrome because we all just started as like music fans, and we've managed to magic. My wife said to me earlier on, she was like, the podcast tour is going to be great. And I'm like, how do you know? And she's like, because everything you touch turns to gold. And I'm like, that's a very nice thing for you to say to me. You don't normally say nice things like that. I was like, is it luck or skill? And she's like, it's all luck. It's like, okay, that's brought me back down to
I knew
earth.
the,
Thanks.
I knew there was a punchline to this joke.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think, all those people I just mentioned, and you and me, you must stand around sometimes and just think, fucking hell, I don't know how I fucking got it. I don't know if I know what I'm doing or not really, but I'm just doing it. So yeah, that's a long way of saying I regularly have imposter syndrome, but I just ignore it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I suppose there's. So I've experienced it in both careers. I mean, crippling one day into the next in journalism, and then less so in the music industry. Less so in the music industry for all the reasons that you said. That you don't train for. You wake up one morning and you just decide, even though you know it. Talking about ignorance is bliss. I mean, ignorance in terms of what this is involves was a real help for me at 23 because you don't know what you don't know. So you've got a bit of drive, enthusiasm, you get a bit between your teeth to go and make something work. But the reason that you don't know what backline is or PRS or sound curfews or fucking what way a drum kit gets set up, you don't get time to worry about it because you're too busy just trying to get the next basic thing is like how do you book Panic Sale? How do you get in touch with the band Panic Sale? And what do you do when you get in touch with them? Do you make them an offer? And because I managed, fortunately, to get a couple of those festivals successfully under my belt and sold out before I got a real insight to the industry and I kept myself, there was even now there's still things that crop up. You're a bit like, I never really knew that. I mean, I'm very open to the fact that if you did have a promoting course, like if you went to university, like this is how you promote a festival, there'd be so many aspects of it that I'd be like, fuck, I don't do that. I don't know anything about it. Like there's so much of it that would just be rough around the edges of the way that I promote. So I'm not so much imposter syndrome, but I am for the damnation side of it, but I am aware of the limitations and the experience and that I only do this. I mean, you get some folk that have been a promoter in the gig promoter sense. After 1 year in this, you will have put on more shows than I have in 20 because effectively all I've got is well, it's going to be 20 Damnations, two Deathfests, and then a handful of about maybe 10 Glasgow shows. So I haven't actually promoted all that much. So it's not like this is, and I know my way around a settlement and everywhere that they're going to do. And the shit that's happening too is now between the difference between the paid permitted engagement letters or the certificate of sponsorship and should we apply to be able to make those certificates sponsorship, basically give them to bands and whatever. So there's still things now that I'm still a bit like, let's take some advice on it. And look at us this week. We are taking advice on PRS for the difference between doing a podcast to the live music. So we deal with live music PRS fees, we don't deal with podcast fees. So, and then we're talking to a bunch of promoters and agents, and a lot of people are like, let's research this. A lot of people, again, all learning together without anybody being Billy Big Boss and saying, oh, well, I know the answer when they don't. So, aye, it's definitely a career you're always learning it. Haven't felt the imposter syndrome the same way I did in journalism, which was one day becoming a newspaper editor, a daily newspaper editor with a lot of people who had been doing it for 40 or 50 years and worked at the News of the World. And other national papers and then being their boss and every decision being mine. That was terrifying. And the only way to do that is look yourself in the mirror this morning. So you're here. So just fucking because there's not an 8 hour shift where you're allowed to not do it right. You go in that
Yeah,
first, like there's no one holding your hand when you do your first day's newspaper. There. You are God that day, and every decision you make is where it goes. And if you start doing this whole design by committee, let's all get together. Do you think that's a front page story? You might as well just shoot yourself in the foot and quit then. So those first months were really difficult because you're second guessing and third guessing every decision you make, and you've got no one to second guess it with.
yeah,
You're just there on your Todd making those decisions. And that was daily. At least with Damnation, I've got a full year of saying, oh, did I get that right, that book? And should I really have paid that? Or should I taken that agent's advice? I mean, with the newspaper, it was like your deadline's 5 o'clock, mate. Get your shit together at 9 a.m. and get it done and then come back in tomorrow and do it again. So aye, that was a real and I don't think you ever with that, I mean, with that, you're always looking at other people, other papers, and the same as I suppose. I mean, could I really just be dropped into just organised download? I'm sure there's fucking tons of shit that I don't know at that level to promote an event like download. So, aye, I suppose we've always got a good answer for yourself. Always got it, but it's about just having the wherewithal, as you say, to realise that unless you're a bit psychotic and you've got like a deep arrogance in you that you think that you deserve all this, you should really have a wee bit of imposter syndrome. It's a bit like having nerves before a big game or a show. They're there to keep you fucking grounded and know that it's important to you.
yeah. Well, I do know a few psychotic, arrogant agents, so actually they probably don't have imposter syndrome,
It's
but it's
weird because
none of the people I mentioned.
see when you said about Anna, but I haven't worked with anybody, but see what happens. That imposter syndrome can get twisted into quite a nasty arrogance. You get people that you deal with 5 years ago that were very friendly on the phone with you or an email, and then they've latched onto one big band or a couple of big bands, and now you're dealing with them and they do have got a weird and bitter arrogance about them. They think they can talk. People don't like the power of it. No, people don't like the responsibility of the power that you can still just be a decent person, have a conversation with folk, with everyone. I think there's a defence mechanism in that as well. That if you are, who do you think you are? Do you think my band's not worth that? That kind of chit chat, talking down to you, being condescending, that they're going to come across as maybe knowing a bit more than they do.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Mate, I've got to tell you something incredible has just happened. My Arbor delivery of beer for the tour is literally, I'm not going to move. Lizzie will get the door, but it was meant to be. It's happened whilst we're recording. There is literally about 6 cardboard boxes of Arbor beer
It was
being
like I could
dropped on
watch your
my
face
door.
and it goes, something's happening. This you just see this out so Brian doesn't have to edit it. It's like, oh man, but a huge delivery of beer.
Happy days.
Right, let's get wrapped up then. Mr. Lou's Brews, have you been keeping tabs at all on this, the Great Lid debate?
I have indeed.
Right, so for those not so intertwined with the internet, Lou always had these little flip caps. So you flip it at the top, you squeeze your sauce out. Now, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, they started coming out with wee poverty caps, right? That you have to twist, and they're like horrible wee ugly things you need to twist. And then when you go to do your sauce, because your sauces are thick, they just come out in splodges. So not only do you have to remove the cap, which takes time, you need to put it down somewhere, splodge all over your pizza, so you've got these wee pockets of fucking wee volcano pockets that burn the mouth off you instead of being able. Then you need to put it back, just instead of using your squeezy cap. So I was like, ugh, I suppose at the end of the day, if these lids are a bit cheaper and he's making a wee bit more, it's a one man operation. Profit margins are profit margins, and we'll just deal with it. But I mentioned it one time. It's got nothing to do with price. It's not a financial thing at all. Tom fucking Begley told them they looked like shampoo lids, and he just gave up them. And the rest of the world paid the price because Tom Begley had a negative comment. Now, you and I are the first people. We spent a day with Tom Begley at Art Tangent, and he had a negative comment on almost everything we crossed paths with for 12 hours. That is a man you don't listen to when he's just been negative about stuff. So then I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, now we need to campaign to get the shampoo lids back, and we can all go on eating our dinners in a merry way. And it feels like we've won that campaign. So you're welcome, the people of Lou's Brews World. And like, see the argument back for it. It was all aesthetic. It was all like, I'm saying that this is the reason why this is more convenient, quicker. Don't need to take a lid away. I can evenly distribute the hot sauce like anal vomit. And people are saying, but it looks like a shampoo lid. I'm like, mate, you've got a hot sauce with somebody's colon with two shakes talking to each other. And why do you care that it looks like a shampoo lid? What's your thoughts on that, James?
Well, I mean, Lou's got an incredible way of doing business because basically Tom Begley says one thing and he changes it. And now you've got a load of people shouting another thing and he's changed it again. So, you know, you could never run a festival, Lou, because it's fucking constantly people telling you what to fucking do. Um,
And don't listen to Tom Begley.
I've had a couple of instances where the new lids have involved me getting way more sauce out of the bottle than I intended to.
Yes.
So yeah, I quite would like a squeezy cat back. One thing I did want to tell you, Gav, is that you have gone on about slap and pickle a lot, and I've never tried it until last night. And since then, I've had it on every fucking meal. It's very good with chicken. Very, very good with
It's no
chicken.
good with chicken though.
Very
That's a
good with
taste
chicken.
thing. That's
Mate,
a I think it's too weird for me for with chicken. I love it in a burger. Chicken was
no.
a step too far.
No, I had a chicken sandwich at lunchtime today with it on. Really good. So yeah,
He's well, I got the chance. The lid debate aside, I got the chance to try his special black garlic and truffle, and also a V-Rex one that he done maple smoked maple mustard. Two other absolute crackers. What you'd expect by this point. Really enjoyed them on my sandwiches too. So usual thing, bluesbrews.co.uk, pod 15. Go get your hot sauces after you've done pod 10 to get your ISO merch, vinyls and t-shirts. And he's always after retailers. If there are any retailers out there, restaurants, anyone who wants to take his sauces and treat their customers to them, get in touch with him or get in touch via us and we'll put you on to the big man. On the record.
lovely. Well, first of all, don't be giving me shit for updating the on the record playlist early. I
Wait,
saw it's giving people a nice little treat, a nice little early treat. It either happens then or it gets forgotten. Anyway,
okay,
my
okay.
choice of song is Troubadour Moon by the Wild Hearts. Look, here's the thing. People might be getting bored of the Wild Hearts now, so I'm going to quit it. This is it. Ginger is a truly great songwriter, one of the best fucking British songwriters ever, in my opinion. He can do riffs, he can do pop hooks. This song is the latter. It's his pop hooks. This is fucking catchy. This is a pop song. It is, look, the video might be shit, the lyrics might be average, but the song is fucking great. Great. It's not cool, and I actually don't give a fuck. Um, my mate was saying to me yesterday that I'm losing all my street cred, keep going on about the Manic Street Preachers. And now
He's
I'm doing it
right.
with the Wild Arts as well. I don't care. When the solo kicks into this song, I'm on my couch with my fucking tennis racket playing air guitar. It's like, it's
You know,
fucking
what
great.
street cred? What street cred?
I love it. This, honestly, it's great. A pop rock banger. Troubadour Moon by the Wild Arts.
Do you know, I was thinking, you know what I've always thought was a big mistake from other promoters, agents, managers, whatever, is like taking your money, they've got your marketing budget for your whatever tours you've got, and then going to Meta and then just plowing into that and getting fuck all back in return. Like, if only there was a podcast out there with two people that the entire listenership are people who buy tickets to go to live events. So I was thinking this week, 'cause I am going to see Nordic Giants and This Will Destroy You on Saturday in Glasgow. And I could not believe actually Nordic Giants don't have a track yet on the record. I thought, right, okay, I will pick Nordic Giants. James is a promoter for This Will Destroy You in Bristol. He'll probably pick This Will Destroy You. We'll just do a wee package thing. Here you go. Here's a wee free plug for you guys. And you're like, no, Wild Hearts. Nothing else is happening this week but Ginger Wild Heart. So I will do the heavy lifting once
Good.
again. And by all means, if you have got an ad budget and you'd like to actually get to people that go to these shows, then we're your avenue. Nordic Giants, spoken on plenty on this podcast. Unbelievable post rock, but where they really shine, where they get to the top table of post rock is their live show. In fact, they're better than most bands in the live setting because they had that the short film experience with it. The live shows, unlike a lot of post rock bands where there's not a lot happening visually, this is fucking sensory overload. The latest album, Symbiosis, the last track is Infinity. It's an absolute cracker, slow builder, takes a wee while to get into, but then it just layers upon layers upon layers of top tier post rock. I put lots of slabs of genius of post rock in that playlist. This will sit nicely in with the rest of them. If you get a chance to go out in this tour, do it. Two absolutely fantastic bands. I believe both booked by our agent Hayden. So Go support the bands, support Hayden, and fucking check out Nordic Giants. Get there early enough to see this. I hope this is Infinity is the name of the track, and I hope that they play it live because it's an absolute cracker.
Yeah, and thanks for the plug, Gav. So the Bristol show is tonight, as this podcast goes out Thursday. So yeah, see you there.
Where is it? At the Fleece?
Oh mate, why are you doing? Yeah, the police. I was going to say.
Why are you doing that to me? Because you're the
Do
promoter.
you think I? Do you, I'm like, I saw the Man United, Jim Ratcliffe get interviewed this week, and every time they asked him a question he didn't know the answer to, he was basically just like, "It's below my pay grade." Where did that 40 grand go? He's like, I don't get involved in 40 grand. It's like, so that's basically, yeah, I don't get involved in what venue it's at. But
No,
yeah, the
no.
fleece, the fleece.
Where's the beer fridge, mate? Where's the beer? Miles, where's the beer fridge? No, we cut that for the budget. Fuck this, Miles is not happening. So there we are. The next time we chat, or next time you guys hear us in your ears, I will be in Bristol, ready for the start of this tour. Keep everything up going, guys, that you've been doing for us. If you can, if you're watching YouTube, hit the thumbs up. If you've got the time and energy and cash, support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Well, Patreon, but stick with us if you're on Ko-fi. If you're in one of the cities that have not yet sold out, please pick up your tickets and we'll see you there. We are looking forward to having a great old couple of weekends coming
Yeah,
up.
can't wait. Really can't wait.
I will see you in 6 days, sir. In
See you there, mate.
person.
Yes.